As the plane crashes down, I think I notice that he holds my hand. And I hear him scream, and I hear my own screaming. However, the high-pitched outcry of startled engines, the piercing howl of panicked metal forged, the plane's shrill scream, 100 flutes, full blast off-key, exasperating dissonance. Inconceivable. A brain-muffling sound like an imprinting for fingers to touch, an engraving in your awareness. A tactile noise overwhelms reality. We are not there. Our voices coalesce. Sitting himself down graciously into the aisle seat, a tall man, olive skin, conflicting with a boldly white shirt, introduces himself. Aloisio Bonaccorso, piacere. He looks at me and smiles. I bet he expects an all-American, ever-pleasant, plastic sunshine smile back. He's not gonna get it. Furiously, I fix my gaze on a distant point outside the plane's oval window. This plane is taking me from Bonn to Rome and then back to the US. At the embassy in Bonn, they are celebrating. After numerous rereadings, revisions, rectifications, settlements and suspensions, finally the Bonn-Paris Convention will come into force, making an end to the Allied occupation of West Germany. By now they will be toasting and drinking the bottles of Moet and Chandon Mireille had so often crowed about. She bought them from a farmer near Dortmund who found them in a cave where the Nazis had stashed them among all their riches. I thought of it as in bad taste, but I am not there. A few days ago I received a note and a ticket. The note was short and indifferent. It said, due to the change from the High Commission office to the American Embassy, the RIF, reduction in force, has gone into effect. This letter confirms that your employment with HICOG is terminated effective immediately, and we thank you for your efforts and contribution. And that was it. I might as well have cleaned the diplomatic toilets. Somewhat more than 3 years ago, during my graduation year at Harvard, my professor, Mr. Felton, had told me that the president of Harvard himself, Mr. Brian Conant, was appointed the position of High Commissioner in Bonn, Germany. He might need some fine man to help him establish a secure and stable Europe. Would it not be a great idea if I'd go there and write my thesis on cost-price calculation while researching European economies? That to me seemed a very interesting thing to do. In me grew a sense of importance, of new tidings. I applied for a job that was described as Analyst of Data and Function of Reactions Analyze Branch within the HICOG Office of Public Affairs. And I bought Living German, a complete language course on vinyl with a textbook and a conversational manual. So how come I am on this plane? While all these 3 years I thought Mireille would be out of there before me. I thought of myself as the smarter one, the decent one. Her cynical, unsavory jokes like, when is it appropriate to spit a gypsy woman in her face? When her moustache is on fire. Many Europeans seem to me this way, detached, impersonal, inhuman. So many Zaratustras descending the mountains. Never was an encounter nice. Their whole culture would waterfall all over you as soon as you were introduced. Even at her most vulnerable, when smoking in bed, humming Au ravin des enfants perdus, Mireille resembled an ocean, a decomposed deep-sea creature's bearer. I kept telling myself I wanted to be closer to her, only to defeat her. But every step I had taken had meant entering deeper into an unassailable maze. And now she's probably wearing the yellow dress I bought her, and she'll be moving her hips on Ain't That a Shame, the music I introduced her to. I am furious. The stewardess hands me the whiskey I ordered. Then, swiftly, the Italian guy next to me snatches the glass away from me, gives it back to the stewardess, and brushes her off. I freeze. Of course, I should have told the Italian to mind his own petty business. Instead, I let it happen. It isn't even that I'm curious. I'm stupefied, as usual. He opens the leather bag from which he delves a bottle of red wine and 2 crystal glasses. Come on, American boy, destiny has put you here next to me. So, the spiraling wine rubies the crystal. Now these are for us, and this is for our gracious company of today, Anna. He takes a can with condensed milk, spills it into a porcelain cup that he carefully composes on the little setup table. Then he reaches for a large straw basket next to him in the aisle, and with a swift maneuver, he pulls out a cat, places her on his lap, and offers the milk. Salute! I watch him speechless. I don't want to be a part of it anymore. The dolly dreamlike European delusion. I want to drive a car. I want highways. I want a girl who laughs at my jokes. But the smell of the wine lures me into its ominous warning well. Salute, I whisper, while Alicio's long fingers massage the cat's fur in a conspicuously erotic manner. At first, Bonn felt to me like some kind of underworld, as if one could peel off the thin skin of a landscape with marvelous blue oceans and green wildernesses, yellow deserts, purple mountains. There, underneath the sheath, would be the real fruit, bitter and grey. Any war, anywhere, could effortlessly scrape off the cheerful surface. Before I left Boston, American soil, loving parents, expensive education, future secure, I thought of reality as something you could decipher with your own eyes. I believed in reality. I experienced my former life, the one I'm heading back towards now, through a thin layer. Now it is as if I can reach out my hand and chafe of that aluminium shiny luster, a bright reflection on a dark pool, easily disturbed, but just as smoothly re-established. Carefully, Aloisio Bonaccorso took a first step into thinking. He attempted to reflect on what it was that he felt. There was a pain everywhere, but not one distinct ache that was stronger. He concluded that focusing on his body would be something to worry about later. First, attention need to go to his mind. As if walking on a wooden bridge with rotten planks, he wandered through his thoughts and felt a deep concern about where he could or could not step onto. He imagined his voice, how it would sound, and he formed the words, Aloisio Bonaccorso. The careful pronunciation of these fictitious syllables resonated in him a feeling close to confidence. It made him breathe deeply, which hurt. There was a risk of going too fast, wanting too much. The wooden planks under his feet were moaning. He was alive and the core of his existence was intact. Slowly, Aloisio said to himself, and fell back into a sleep that was weighed down by culpable dreams. Colorless città aperta, achromic frames pierced by luminous rays, a Roman street filled with anxious people. Pina comforts a woman weeping in front of the Gestapo headquarters. An SS soldier saucily touches Pina's arm, her dark eyes boiling carbon warn him off. Then there's a turmoil. Pina shouts, Francesco, who is being forced by 4 soldiers into a car. She rushes towards him, hitting and fighting, forcing herself through a number of Germans like a wildcat. Francesco calls out, Pina! She runs after him, after the car that starts speeding in which he is held. She shouts his name. Then she is shot in the back. She doesn't collapse like a human being. She falls, desperately innocent, the way in which horses do when shot. Did you ever see an actress fall fearless like Anna Magnani? See, there's not a word or concept for Gibigiana in another language. A flash of reflected reflected light on water, brief and acute. A firm hand held Aloisio's jaws and pushed them apart. Something wanted to enter his mouth. He opened his eyes, and before even noticing that he was still capable of seeing, he was struck by the whiteness around him. White ceiling, white walls, and a white face with white eyelashes. The thin mouth smiled and opened. Although Aloisio could not very well perceive it, he guessed it was talking. It sounded as if a bucket was catching water drops from a leaking pipe somewhere on a distant floor. He tried to figure out what it wanted to say. Then a spoon entered his field of vision, too close to his face. A spoon with a gentle white lump. Please, please, Aloisio thought. Let it be polenta. And he opened his mouth.